Hello everyone, welcome to THA417 online lecture. Today we will be discussing traditional African theater. Traditional African theater. What is traditional African theater? Traditional African theater is the theater practice in Africa before colonial experience, that is, pre-colonial African theater. It is a theater by an African about Africa and for the world. It is a theater that encompasses the African way of life, the African culture. Traditional African theater is embedded in pre-colonial African culture, the way of life of the Africans before the coming of the white men to Africa. Traditional African society and the ideal of African life. Africa has a cyclical concept of existence. Hence, they live in close communion with one another and with nature and even with the whole creation. The African way of life is communal, and that includes the living, the dead, and the unborn. The living, the dead, and the unborn. Traditional African life is where the gods and men live and interact, where the gods are living with the people. In fact, in places like traditional Igbo life, once you enter the compound, you will see the abode, the place for the gods. The gods live with the people in the compound, in the same compound, because people commune with the gods. This is unlike classical Greek theater, where the gods live above the people, dictating their life. The gods of the Africans live among the people and can be appeased. The greatest ideals that inform African traditional theater and African traditional life is the supremacy of the gods and the indomitability of African traditional culture. These ideals, among others, determine the concept and the convention of African traditional theater. The African traditional theater cannot be cannot be separated from traditional African life. What is the content of traditional African theater? Traditional African theater. The content of traditional African theater is the way of life of the people. That is the people's culture, their religion, marriage and burial rites, their way of greeting, their morals, politics, beliefs, including the material culture. It is heavily ritual, a theater where man and spirits are players. The conventions of traditional African technique. We ask ourselves, what's the technique? How is the making of traditional African theater? The prevalent method or technique of traditional African theater is referred to as total African theater. Total African theater. It is a dramaturgy that celebrates the African belief in communal life, an all-inclusive way of living that involves everybody and everything, the rulers and the led, the kings and the peasants, men and women, adults and children, the rich and the poor, spirits and human. It is a technique of theater making that is informed by Africa's celebratory outlook to life Africa celebrates life. In traditional Africa, everything is celebrated, including life and death, rites of passage, achievements, and so on. Everything is celebrated. And so, in the same vein, theater in traditional Africa is a combination of several performance art forms, because African life is performative, marked by high body expressivity. I continue to say that the way of Africa is the theater way. We live the theater way, meaning that almost all our utterances are followed up by appropriate body action, body gesticulation, body expressivity. And in the same way, the theater is equally a combination of different performance art forms, including ritual, dance, music, poetry, chants, incantation, and many others. The critical essays. There are many critical essays that inform the African traditional theater, that try to explain the African traditional theater, that try to put in the right perspective certain opinions about African traditional theater. The critical essays about African traditional theater at the beginning were carried out by many people who are not Africans by birth. Many of them are from outside Africa, and so they fail to really understand the theater we practice in traditional Africa. And so many of them had the belief that there was no theater in traditional Africa. There was no drama in traditional Africa. But one of such men, known as Graham White Anthony, that is Anthony Graham White, tries to locate drama in traditional African culture. In his book, The Drama of Black Africa, Anthony Graham White was able to locate what he referred to as an incipient drama in Africa. He located that in ritual. So in the article, The Origins of Drama in Africa, he located the origins of drama in Africa in African way of life, especially in ritual. But from his point of view, ritual is a way of life that can develop into drama. And so still, he fails to believe that there is drama in Africa, even before the colonial invasion. Another critic is Wole Soyinka. We are studying one of his essays, powerful essays about traditional African theater, and the essay is entitled Theater in African Traditional Cultures, Survival Patterns. Theater in Traditional African Cultures, Survival Patterns. This essay is published in Art, Dialogue and Outrage, Essays on Literature and Culture. It is also published in Modern African Drama, edited by Biodu Jeifo. In this critical essay, Soyinka insists, just like many other African theater artists, he insists that there has always been drama and theater in Africa, even before the coming of the white men. In this particular essay, Soyinka explained and detailed the fact that theater and drama are not dead in Africa, that what may be seen as that the one particular form is not there or not. It's just a survival pattern whereby the old form gives rise to a new form or is transformed into a new form. And so the old form is still there, only that it has assumed a different form in another way to meet up with the exigencies of the time. And so it's a very good argument that echoes the belief of many African scholars that Africa has drama, Africa has theater, it has not been there, it was never dead. And unlike the view of Anthony Graham White, that ritual has the potential to develop into drama, Soyinka insists that ritual does not need to develop, that ritual is ritual. It has developed to what is supposed to develop, and that ritual is theater, and not that ritual will develop into theater, or that ritual will develop into drama. That ritual is drama and ritual is theater. That is the view of that powerful essay by our own Soyinka. Another article I would like us to study is by Feuerbach Joachim, by Joachim Feuerbach. Joachim Feuerbach wrote an essay titled Dimensions of Theatricality in Africa. Dimensions of Theatricality in Africa. This powerful essay is published in a book known as Research in African Literature. It's a journal, in a journal, Research in African Literature. It's also published in Modern African Drama, edited by Biodo Jeifo. In this powerful essay, Joachim tried to detail the fact that feasts and festivals in Africa are authentic theater. He gave examples of the theatricality involved in feast and festival that make them authentic African theater. These and many more essays, which you will find out in your own personal study, help us to understand the issues about African theater, African traditional theater, the main ideas, the ideological thoughts concerning traditional African theater. Now, the final part of this lecture is the analysis of dramatic forms. Now, why do we need to read plays in the study of theater? As I explained in the other introductory class lecture, I told you that drama is symbiotically related to theater, that drama is the theory of theater and theater is the practice of drama. And so when we read the plays, we imagine theater, the theater, and with the help of the play text, we will be able to analyze the theater. Now, the three plays for this lecture, traditional African theater, are Death and the King's Horseman, Shadows on Arrival, and Yemoja. These three plays are good examples of traditional African theater because they embody most of the characteristic features of African traditional theater. Although many of them, almost all of them, are written in modern period, the world of the play, the theater is about African life, and most importantly, African traditional life. We will discuss 6 of these features. It is your own duty to study the 3 plays and try to find out how these features are incorporated in the plays. The first feature is the subject matter of the play, which is the story told by the playwright. And this story told by the playwright is based on the way of life of traditional Africans. That is just the content, the subject matter. The story is taken from African way of life. The story told by the playwright in the plays is about Africans living their life the way they live it before the coming of the white men. The plays are celebratory. That's the second feature. The plays are celebratory in feasts and festivals, which bring people together. In these plays, you will see this great feature of African traditional theater, which is always marked by one occasion or the other that bring people together to celebrate, to feast together, to commune together. It is for you to read these plays and mark out these feasts and festivals in the plays where people are brought together. The third feature of traditional African theater, which are contained in these three plays in different form, is the enactments of rituals. African traditional theater is heavily ritual, and rituals form the content of these three plays. Different aspects of the ritual, which include oracular pronouncements, ritual procession, ritual dance or dance of possession, ritual feasts, festivals, and many others. It's for you to read the three plays, study the three plays, and find out the different